Hello and welcome to Cal State Northridge. My name is Brian Hanson. I am the project superintendent on site. I'd like to welcome you to the project. We're going to be building 3 main structures. Level 5 stick frame buildings, 4 stories. We have building 21, which will be a poured in place deck with 4 levels of stick frame on top. We also have a remodel, building 18, and the main players on site will be as architect, A.C. Martin, general contractor, C.W. Driver, and Cal State Northridge, CSUN as the owner.
Good morning, my name is Randy Rankin. I'm the Senior Project Manager for C.W. Driver, responsible for the overall project with a special interest in safety and making sure that all you guys go home safe, follow the standards and the rules set forth at the university.
Hi, I'm Bill Blazey, Assistant Project Manager for C.W. Driver. I assist all the operations and supervising staff, as well as any RFIs, submittals, costs, any change orders, anything like that. Basically trying to help manage the entire project to success.
Hi, my name is Judd Burton. I'm an Assistant Project Manager for CW Driver at the CSUN Student Housing Project. My primary roles here are to manage the subcontracts, track RFIs, submittals, change orders, and to facilitate the management of the project.
My name is Merlin Snyder, Project Manager for California State University Northridge, and my role on this project is to manage it on behalf of the university.
Hello, my name is John Carpenter. I am the Project Inspector for the Student Housing Phase 2 construction project. My duties are to inspect every detail of the work before it is covered, before it is approved.
This code of safe practice was designed to provide the framework for the prevention of incidents and injuries on this project. At no time does this code relieve contractors from any of their traditional or specific legal responsibilities with respect to occupational injury and illness prevention, protection of property, and the environment. This code of safe practice shall be reviewed by the contractor supervisor and the project superintendent as part of the project orientation. Contractor supervisors shall disseminate these requirements to their respective employees and subtrades. Documentation shall be provided to the project superintendent upon completion of training. Safety is a core value of our organization and contributes to our success in this project. Let's begin with general requirements. All persons shall follow these safe practices and policies, render every possible aid to safe operation, and report all unsafe conditions or practices to the foreman or superintendent. Smoking is permitted in designated areas only. All other areas are non-smoking. Creating or contributing to unsanitary or unhealthy conditions is prohibited. Employees are required to remain in assigned work areas unless directed by their immediate supervisor. Any and all persons not directly involved in a construction process, including children, are prohibited from gaining access to this site without prior consent of the CW Driver project manager. Consent shall be in written form and made available to all CW Driver personnel and or client representatives upon their request. All employees are responsible for not working in an area that they feel unsafe. They are to immediately report any unsafe condition or work area to their supervisor. Foremen shall insist on employees observing and obeying every rule and regulation as is necessary to ensure safety at work, and shall take necessary action to obtain observance. Contractors are required to conduct, attend, and participate in weekly safety meetings relevant to their work on the job site. Contractors shall not require anyone to perform a task that they feel would jeopardize their work and or others' work safety. Injuries shall be reported immediately to the project superintendent. A thorough investigation shall be conducted and a report shall be provided to the project superintendent within 8 hours of the time of injury. This requirement includes all near-miss incidents and any property/equipment damage arising out of negligence. Alcohol and drugs will not be tolerated. If you're under the influence during working hours, you will be terminated immediately. Work shall be well planned and supervised to prevent incidents and injuries in the handling of material and in working together with equipment. No one shall knowingly be permitted or required to work while the employee's ability or alertness is so impaired by fatigue, illness, or other causes that might unnecessarily expose the employee or others to injury. Unnecessary and excessive haste is the cause of many accidents. Exercise caution at all times. Walk, do not run. Horseplay, running, fighting, or any activity that may result in an injury will not be tolerated. Actions of this nature are subject to immediate termination. Materials and equipment shall be stored so that sharp projectiles will not interfere with the walkway. Barricades. Barricades shall be installed when a hazard exists and removed immediately after completing work activities or when the hazard has been abated. Barricades shall be erected to only include the area where the hazard exists and should be coordinated with the area supervision. Caution tape, yellow with black lettering, shall be used to identify a hazard, but will allow personnel to proceed through the area with care. Danger tape, red with black lettering, shall be used to identify a hazard zone where only authorized personnel are allowed to enter. Clothing and personal appearance. Employees shall wear clothing appropriate for the job site. It is mandatory that shirts with at least a 4-inch sleeve be worn at all times. In some cases, a full sleeve will be required. Shorts are not to be worn on site at any time. Do not wear gloves, loose clothing, or jewelry, or allow long facial/head hair to dangle where they may create a hazard. This is to prevent the potential for getting caught in operating. Personal protective equipment. When operations and/or policies dictate the use of personal protective equipment, the use of such equipment is mandatory. Please take some time to review into detail the personal protective equipment that you must use. Compressed gas cylinders. The following rules apply when working with compressed gas cylinders. Cylinders must be secured in an upright position at all times. Valves shall not be opened, cracked, no more than 1.5 full turns from the closed position. Flash arresters shall be installed in all gauges when in use. Install caps when not in use. Keep full and empty cylinders separate. Oxygen and fuel gas cylinders must be stored at least 20 feet apart or separated as per OSHA regulations. Fire protection measures shall be implemented at all times. Hot work permits shall be completed prior to all burning activities. Smoking is prohibited near and around fuel gas cylinders. Cranes and hoists. A lifting plan shall be developed and reviewed with all essential personnel prior to hoisting operations. Only CCO qualified operators shall operate cranes and hoists. Swing radius areas of cranes shall be barricaded and non-essential personnel shall keep clear. Do not touch the crane or load while it is in motion. Use a tagline on all loads that may swing while being hoisted and lowered. Cranes and hoists must be operated with caution when near power lines. Do not take any equipment within 10 feet of energized lines. If in doubt, consult the safety department and review current regulations. Employees shall not be lifted by a crane or hoist, ball. Operators are expected to know and work within the rated capacities of their crane or hoist. Operators shall go through the startup and shutdown procedures as described by the equipment checklist and as instructed by their supervisor. Only qualified signalman person is permitted to give hand and voice signals to crane operators, except during an emergency. In this instance, any person may give a stop signal. At no time shall a signalman person relinquish their signalman responsibilities to others unless supervision receives proof of the individual's qualifications. Emergency Action Plan. Everyone is expected to participate and follow the emergency action procedures for this project location. These procedures will be explained throughout the duration of the project. A site emergency action logistics plan is posted in the trailer. This plan identifies contact information, site address, evacuation points, access routes, and major cross streets. Everyone is expected to disseminate information to your respective employees on a regular basis as part of the toolbox safety meetings. Everyone must know the emergency response procedures you are to follow in the event of a fire or other emergency on the project. Fire prevention. Prevention and protection go hand in hand. There are some basic items that shall be followed, which include implementation of hot work procedures and fire hazard reduction techniques, knowing where fire extinguishers are located, the type and capacities of these fire extinguishers, having the proper training on their operation, emergency evacuation procedures, and contractors shall review fire prevention procedures with the project superintendent during their operation process. Guardrails and handrails. Whenever a danger of falling exists, proper guardrails shall be installed. For example, floor openings, wall openings, platforms, and/or excavations. Guardrails must consist of top rail at 42 inches from the working surface, mid rails 21 inches from the working surface, and toe boards where required. The guardrail shall be properly secured to prevent accidental dislodgement and capable of withstanding 200 pounds of force from any direction. Handrails are required on stairways in addition to guardrails and shall be installed at the prescribed height of 34 to 38 inches above the risers. Never lean against guardrails or holes through which ladders extend for access shall be guarded on all other opening sides. Note, when a ladder is used to gain access at the side of an elevated deck or surface, adequate protection shall be installed to prevent a fall from the ladder access point. The decked areas shall be released following the deck release protocol in the CWD Fall Protection Program. Never leave an opening unattended and always report unsafe conditions to the site superintendent. Hazard communication. Hazard communication, HAZCOM, provides the worker with vital information about hazardous material or substances. The key elements are written program, labels, safety data sheets located on site available to all, worker education. Material labels shall bear the following information: material and supplier identification, hazard symbols, risks, precautionary measures, first aid measures. Chemical inventory list and safety data sheet shall be available for all hazardous products brought on site. SDSs shall be submitted in an organized tabbed binder to include a table of content. Be sure to know where the SDSs are located. Heat illness prevention. You are responsible for providing the required water, shade, and training to your employees per the Cal OSHA Heat Illness Prevention Regulation 3395. This regulation requires employers to have a written plan giving specific instructions when temperatures reach certain degrees. Consult your company's safety plans for specifics on this topic. Horizontal and vertical openings. It is required that floor, wall, and roof openings be guarded by means of guardrails. Where guardrails are impractical, an alternative system of horizontal and vertical guarding and security meeting the same requirement shall be used. When covers are used, they must support 400 pounds or 2 times the intent load that would be imposed upon the deck floor during the course of construction. Covers shall be secured to prevent accidental dislodgement and shall bear a pressure sensitized, painted, or stencilized sign with legible letters not less than 1 inch high stating, "Opening, do not remove." Markings of chalk or heel shall not be used. Housekeeping. Your contract requires you to be responsible for good housekeeping on a daily basis. Always be sure that your work area is kept clean and free from slip and trip hazards. Clean as you go. All materials might be blown or swept off roofs, exposed floors, or scaffolding must be effectively secured when work has ceased or a high winds are predicted. Inspections, audits, and hazard assessments. CW Driver conducts on-site safety inspections and program audits that are necessary to evaluate safety performance and to identify areas or behavior that may need improvement. Contractors are required to conduct inspections as well and participate in CW Driver site inspections. All corrective action, including disciplinary action, is required to be documented and submitted to the project superintendent. Contractors, subtrade contractors are required to implement hazard assessment programs for identifying hazards prior to commencement of work activities. Hazard assessments such as pre-task plans, activity hazard analysis, job safety analysis, and safety task assignments shall be utilized and signed by each employee on a daily basis to ensure employees have been trained in the recognition of hazards associated with their work activities. Ladders. Inspect all ladders for defects in manufacturer decals prior to use. If unsafe, do not use and report to the supervisor. Do not climb or descend the ladder without free use of both hands. Always use the rope and or rope bucket to raise and lower tools and materials. Verify that ladders maintain a 4:1 ratio, safe working angle. Check that all ladders are secured and extend 3 feet above the point of access. Step ladders must be fully open with the spreader arms locked. Do not fold the step ladder together and lean against walls, columns, etc. Do not work off the top 2 rungs or top cap of the step ladder. Do not use a painted wood ladder. Secure ladders at all times by tying at the top and or bottom. Do not separate extension ladder section to use on the top section as standalone ladder. Occupational hygiene and environmental controls. Hygiene. Health hazards, occupational factors, or illness arising in and from the workplace, which may cause impaired health and well-being, sickness, or significant discomfort and inefficiency, will be identified and controlled. Environmental. You shall make every reasonable and practical effort to protect the environment from the negative effects of contamination, which are used as part of CW drivers' construction and operation activities. SWPPP. Stormwater population prevention plans are established on every site. Maintain all implemented measures to eliminate sediment and contaminants entering storm drain systems. Project Safety Plan. A project safety plan, known as the Project Injury and Illness Prevention Program, has been developed and is located in the superintendent's trailer with all project safety information. You are required to familiarize yourself and employees with this document, rules and regulations governing this project and the construction industry. Proper lifting. Tasks involving repetitive lifting should be analyzed to determine alternate methods of completing the task. Training on proper lift technique shall be provided during new employee orientation and periodically through site safety meetings. Employees shall get assistance with lifting heavy or bulky objects and when the object will block their vision of where they are walking. Bend knees, get a firm grasp on the object holding close to your torso. Keep back straight, lift with your legs, and avoid twisting. Plan before lifting. Consider weight, size, shape, path of travel, and set-down location. Get help if necessary. Protect hands and fingers from rough edges, sharp corners, and metal straps. Keep hands and fingers out of pinch points between the load and other objects. Scaffold. All scaffolds will be erected and maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's specifications, Scaffold Industry Association, and OSHA regulations. Verify that the scaffold is safe and meets all regulatory requirements. Inspect all scaffolding prior to use. Check that the base is sound, level, and in adjustment. Sills, screw jacks, base is secured with a minimum of 2 nails as required. The legs are plumb and that the braces are installed. All locking devices are secured. All cross members are leveled. All ties are in place, secured, properly installed, and in good condition. The working platform meets regulatory requirements. Toe boards shall be installed over all entry and exits through scaffolding. Removal of any scaffold components is prohibited unless done by competent persons. The scaffold must be inspected and green tagged prior to use by the competent persons. Immediately report any visible defects in the scaffolding to the project superintendent. Safe practices to follow when working from scaffolding. Climb the scaffolding using the proper means and never climb on the braces. Do not carry materials while climbing. Maintain good housekeeping practices in all work areas. Check that suitable means of rising and lowering equipment and materials are used. Immediately replace any guardrails temporarily removed for the purpose of hoisting equipment or material. In addition to the foregoing, ensure employees never remove any structural part of the scaffold without first checking with the supervisor. Place a load on the scaffold greater than its design capacity. Rest on or place equipment or materials on the guardrails. Undermine the base of the scaffold. When working with rolling scaffolds, secure or remove all material and equipment from the platform before moving the scaffold. Apply the caser brakes at all times when the scaffold is stationary. Have sufficient help available when moving the rolling scaffold. Be alert for hazards such as holes or openings in the floor, overhead obstructions, slopes, and debris. Never allow employees to ride on a rolling scaffold. Never serve a rolling scaffold. Security. The project security plan is developed to prevent theft, arson, and vandalism, protect workers and the public. Like safety, security is everyone's responsibility. Contractors shall ensure all security measures set forth by the facility will be adhered to. CWD is not responsible for lost or stolen tools or materials. Materials are to be locked and secured during off hours. Flammable and combustible shall be placed in proper storage containers and removed from the work area when not in use. Tools. The following rules apply while working with tools and equipment on CW driver projects. Unguarded tools, frayed or damaged electrical cords, and tool machinery that is found to be in unsafe condition must not be used. Never render a guard inoperable by physically securing a guard in the open position. When using electrically powered equipment or portable hand tools, ensure that they're properly grounded with the use of GFCI, ground fault circuit interpreter. The GFCI pigtail shall be installed between the temporary power tool cord and electrical source when one does not exist. The use of double insulated tools is recommended. When repairs or adjustments are needed, the tools must be made inoperative. Follow de-energized or lockout tag-out procedures. Safety guards may only be removed for such purposes and reinstalled prior to use. Proper safety equipment shall be worn at all times. Example, safety glasses, face shields, or ear protection, etc. Only environmentally safe cleaners shall be used to clean tools. The use of air for removing dirt or foreign particles from personal clothing is prohibited. Do not direct compressed air toward yourself or other employees. Removal of lockouts or do not operate tags without proper authority is prohibited and may result in termination. Use tools as described by manufacturer's recommendations. Trenches and excavation. Excavations and trenches have additional hazards that require special precautions prior to entering. Supervisors shall be competent in the identification of hazards and determination of protective systems as required by Cal OSHA. Never perform in an excavation or trench beyond the regulated depth unless it is properly benched, sloped, or shored. Always work within the confines of the shoring systems in place. Ensure proper means of access and egress is in place. Evaluate all excavations for confined space identification. Inspect all excavations or trenches prior to entering. Vehicles and equipment. The following rules apply while working with and around vehicles and equipment. Only trained, competent operators are allowed to operate vehicles and equipment. Seatbelts shall be worn at all times. Do not ride on running board or stand up in moving vehicles. Driver of haulage vehicles shall exit the cab and move to safe location when it is being loaded or unloaded overhead by crane or hoist. Vehicles and equipment shall be operated lawfully and safely at all times. All vehicles and equipment must shut down for refueling or cleaning. Repair procedures shall be followed as specified by the manufacturer. All implements shall be completely lowered when equipment is stopped or unattended. Free rigging from the fork of a forklift and rigging from the mast is prohibited. Only approved attachments such as jib or lift hook shall be used. Operators must stay at the controls when equipment is in the raised position. When vehicles or equipment are struck or broken down, their removal and repair shall be performed under the direction of the supervisor. Backup alarms must be operational at all times. Please take some time to acknowledge the safety practices and fill in the necessary information at the end of the Contractor Code of Safe Practice. Along with the paperwork you have received, the safety orientation and drug test consent form should be included. This form gives us consent to issue random drug tests at any time. Please read through the form and fill out the necessary information at the end. Employee parking will be in F10, located north of student housing across Lassen Street. In case of an emergency, you will evacuate the site and head to the entrance of F8, located west of student housing towards Lindley Avenue, where you will check in.
Welcome to the project.